Hello, everybody. Once again, welcome back to Let's Talk About Sleep, where we are going to talk about sleep. And in this case, we're actually going to do a response video to some of the questions and comments that were put forth from the Trazodone video I did about 2 years ago. I'll have that link in the description box below if you want to see the original. But this is more of a response to some of the comments and questions that were asked. Good questions and comments that were asked in response to that. So, just to reiterate, Trazodone is a very, very common antidepressant, mild antidepressant that we use in the sleep world to help people sleep. It basically has a two-category way of action. Is it helps the brain calm down? Okay, that's the antidepressant part of it. Okay, and it also helps induce sleep. Okay, so it has kind of a double action. It works in the serotonin system. It's an SARI, which means that on some of the serotonin receptors it works, and some of the other serotonin receptors it blocks, as opposed to an SSRI, which basically floods the system with serotonin. Okay, so that being said, like I said in the other video, I prescribe it quite a bit, and there are people who have a lot of good questions about it. So we're going to go over some of those today. So I'm going to be kind of looking at my notes, but focused on you. So first things first is I would probably say that probably the biggest thing that we would be concerned about with Trazodone is what it can do to the heart. Now, it's not really a dangerous medication, but what can happen is if somebody has any structural cardiac abnormalities, right? If they have arrhythmias, or if they have a known condition like a prior heart attack or so, we have to be careful with Trazodone. Okay, the reason why is because it can prolong what we call the QT. So if you look at somebody's EKG, right, there's different waves. The QT interval, okay, that's one component of those waves that can get prolonged in the use of Trazodone. I mean, there's many things that can prolong QT, but Trazodone is one of those medications that can, and that can then lead to really dangerous arrhythmia. So, I'm very careful about prescribing that in cases where there is any cardiac history. Okay. Another question was, do we get used to it? Now, Trazodone is not known to have what's called tachyphylaxis, which is basically this situation where if you take a medication for a long period of time, the body develops a tolerance to it, and then the dose has to go higher and higher and higher. You don't see that with Trazodone, okay? I've not seen that in my clinical practice, and the literature agrees with that as well. So, what I find in a lot of cases is if somebody says, oh, well, my dose went up and up and up, I think it's simply because they just didn't find the right dose to begin with. Okay, I know me personally, when my patients, I start very, very low, and then we go up from there. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting used to the medication. It just means that they got to find the right dose. Okay. Another question I had was weight gain. So this is one of those scenarios where, any medication can cause anything, right? So, and the reason why I'm saying that is in the literature now, Trazodone has been associated with weight gain, 1 to 5%, and weight loss in 6%. So, I've seen it both ways as well. It's not been anything dramatic, okay? There are some medications which, if you take them, they will cause a tremendous weight gain or weight loss. I haven't seen that with Trazodone, and the literature agrees. Somebody asked about vivid dreams. Yes, you can sometimes get vivid or abnormal dreams with Trazodone. Okay, any psychoactive medication can do that, so just be aware. Another really important question is, can this be taken as needed? 100%. Actually, that's usually the way I prescribe it. Is I'll say to patients, what I want you to start with is, 50 milligrams is the smallest dose, 50. I may have them start with just half of that and say, take this as needed. Now, if you need to take it every night, that's no problem, but it can be as needed. The half-life of Trazodone, depending on your body type and such, is about 5 to 9 hours. Okay, so if you know from my other videos, half-life is basically after X minutes or hours go by, half of the medication is still present. So for a sleep aid, 5 to 9 hours or so is good. That can be longer if somebody's obese, okay? So why that's important is because the half-life is somewhat on the shorter side. People can find that if they take Trazodone every single night, let's say, or every day, let's say, if given by a psychiatrist, if somebody takes it every day for months and months and months or years and years, and then all of a sudden stops, they may have some withdrawal, okay? So what can happen in that situation is they're taking it at nighttime for a year straight and just stop abruptly. Probably that night they're going to have insomnia, okay? So just something to be aware of. But in a kind of regular as-needed basis, that shouldn't happen, okay? Someone else asked about sleep apnea. Yes, Trazodone is totally safe in sleep apnea, and in fact, that's one of the great reasons why we use it, okay? Because a lot of times when we have patients who have insomnia or difficulty with sleep or staying asleep, and they have concomitant sleep apnea, a lot of the medications that we'll use, even like an Ambien, for example, can make sleep apnea worse. Certainly like Klonopin or Xanax, those can definitely worsen sleep apnea. So this is something that doesn't have that same problem. Okay, so it's safe. Somebody asked about blurry vision. Okay, and yes, Trazodone can cause blurry vision. It can actually cause double vision called diplopia. It can also cause astigmatism, which is basically this feeling that your eyes are tired. Okay, so if you're straining them on a computer, let's say all day, that kind of tired feeling, you can get that from Trazodone. Okay, so just be aware of that. People can get eye redness, eye itching, that sort of thing. Again, not a big complaint that I've seen, but it is out there in the medical literature. Okay. And then finally, somebody had mentioned that they use this in their dog, and yes, actually, Trazodone is a somewhat common medication used in the veterinary world, for the same reasons we use it in the human world, because it's basically safe and it can be really good as far as getting to the root cause of problems, right? So it's used off label, but like if a dog has, let's say, sensitivity to fireworks or thunderstorms, that sort of thing, they may give them Trazodone to kind of calm things down. Okay, so so that's kind of what I want to say in addition to what I said last time about Trazodone. You got to be careful with reading things online and even just go into Wikipedia or so. There's articles out there that are written by people who are not experts in this medication. They may be saying things that get into your head and makes it more difficult to try a medication than would be otherwise. Okay, so always talk with your doctor about it, and if it's something that you're considering trying, bring it up to them, but also bring up these points, okay, because they are important to know about. All right, but it is, like I said, for the most part, it's really considered to be a safe medication. And look, it's not for everybody, right? There is no medication that's right for everybody. But if somebody's tried X, Y, and Z and nothing has worked, this is definitely something to consider. Just as an aside, aspirin came out 100 years ago or so. If that were to come out today, it probably wouldn't be approved, okay? Because it's been responsible for a lot of deaths because of bleeding risk and such. So just take that with a grain of salt. Trazodone has been around since the 1960s. So, it's a pretty old medicine. One last thing I want to mention is there can be increased bleeding risk, speaking of that. So people who are on blood thinners, you got to be careful with this kind of thing as well. And it's also can be shown to have what's called orthostatic hypotension. So what that means is if you go from lying or sitting to standing, the blood pressure may drop and you may feel dizzy or even faint. Okay, so again, not something that I've seen, but just to be out there and to be aware. Okay, so thank you guys for watching the video. Please ask questions, comments. Like I said, I am back now, so I will try to answer them. If you like this video, please like it on the like button. Please share it with your friends. Please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, sleep well.